Awesome! Congratulations, you've gone through basically the whole foundational money blueprint, which is awesome, and now you're ready to actually learn how to invest, learn how to create real savings and retirement, and actually have those really outstanding, phenomenal positions and investments and assets that turn into just insane amounts of wealth for you, which is phenomenal and super, super exciting. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna do two things. First thing I want to do is I want to go through, there were two sets of declarations, right? And I definitely make sure that you went through that first set of declarations. There's also another set of declarations we're gonna go through. This is, instead of winning the mental game, which we've just done, this is winning the money game. This is gonna prep you for the next module, which is gonna be probably the final module, and then also figure out what your money blueprint is set for, which is really, really critical, and that's gonna be sort of the basis for everything else here. So first I wanna go through are these, we've got 7 more, 7 of these core foundational key attitudes of wealth for winning the money game. And these are going to come up over and over and over again. And it's really important that what we do is we say them with a hand on our heart, and then we declare with our mind that we have a millionaire mind, or you have a millionaire mind. So let's go through that first, and then we'll go over to the money blueprint. So the first one here is really cool. I'm going to write these in green because, if you can master these enough, they will turn into money, which is like phenomenal. That's the goal, right? As I am an excellent money manager. Now this is huge, we talked about this so much. I am an excellent money manager. So hand on heart, I am an excellent money manager. I have a millionaire mind. This is like, just so critical, so key. I think Eckhart talks about this book too. This is a book that I read a while ago that was really a total game changer for me. It was called The Millionaire Next Door. And I think I've talked about it before, Millionaire Next Door. But again, it comes down to this concept that some of the wealthiest people that you can know, and then there's obviously, I'm oversimplifying, it's a phenomenal book, I highly recommend it. But it's this core foundation that, the most wealthy people on this planet, and a vast majority of the self-made millionaires that, exist, the self-made billionaires, whatever, like it comes from, their wealth, it comes from quality money management skills. Like they are where they are because they're good at money management and they invest in assets. And really, that's the simple formula. The simple formula all comes down to one word, and that one word is assets. And when you're a great money manager, what it means is you invest in assets, and they're great assets. So you make really, really great investments, and naturally that's just going to lead to tons and tons and tons of wealth. I look at some of the most successful people in politics. Mitt Romney has an IRA with $100 million in. And how, you might be thinking, how do you do this? Especially if you've gone through 9 to noon, you know the limitations like IRA deposits. Basically what he did is he went out and he found strategic corporate business partnerships and figured out ways he could invest his own equity into them through his own work and create really, 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 really valuable assets. And it turned, a little nest egg of a couple, dozen grand into hundreds of millions of dollars. And how does he do that? You do that by investing in assets. And that's kind of the key. Now the second one is, and this is huge, I always pay myself first. Again, we talked about this sort of in the first week. We're talking about this budget that you should be following, implementing. Like most people, they go out and they spend all their money when they get a paycheck, and then at the end of the week they say, oh, how much is left? Okay, that must be how much I should spend on my Hawaiian vacation because I don't want to invest. And that's crazy. It's just berserk. And obviously you guys kind of learn through the Jim Rohn training, and you understand that you have to always invest in yourself first by intentionally and deliberately setting a personal budget and then sticking with it no matter what. That's kind of the core. And so hopefully you have that established from the beginning weeks. And if not, you go back to the budget, make sure you're following that budget step by step because it's so good. And the third one is So I always pay myself first. I have a millionaire mind. You gotta remember, it's all about emotionally committing to it, right? I put money into my financial freedom account, and this is sort of the word that he uses to talk about that 10% of investing into your nest egg from the budget every day, or whenever you get paid, or whatever you make it. This is core, this is key, this is the foundation, this is critical. Because you're always investing in your future. And the way you do that is by investing in assets, right? So I put money into my financial freedom account every day. I have a millionaire mind. Massive. The fourth one here is probably one of the biggest mindset shifts, is my money, and this is critical, and this is probably what Jim Rohn would focus on a lot of you, sort of talking about this concept. Money works hard for me, and makes me more and more money. Like the key here is that instead of you working for your money is working for you. And as soon as that happens, all of a sudden you start to get, this compounding growth curve. You start to get, if this is how much money you have, and you're starting out with, your investments, small investments or whatever, like it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows, and you get so much more over time, because now it's not just, you investing your own money, but it's actually your own money compounding on itself. And this is sort of the basis of compound interest, right? As you reinvest gains, and it grows 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 over time, because your money works for you, not the other way around. So money works hard for me and makes me more and more money, makes me money and more money. I have a millionaire mind. Next one's super cool. It says I earn enough passive income, right? Passive income. We'll kind of break down how to generate this. You should go through the program. Earn enough passive income to pay for my desired lifestyle. And this is really wherever your set point is, right? Wherever your spending is, whatever your desired lifestyle is, you can create enough passive income to pay for it. And as soon as you have enough passive income to cover your desired lifestyle reliably over and over and over again, whether it's through business assets, whether it's through financial assets, whether it's through currency assets, whatever kind of asset that you're using or you're leveraging, as soon as the amount of passive income you have is greater than your living expenses, you never have to work again. And it's a very simple formula of, like, if you can live on 10 grand or 100 grand a year or something, and you have a portfolio that's bringing you in 100 grand in passive income over and over and over again reliably without really any kind of risk, and we'll kind of break down how you can do that. And it's also in 9 and how you can do that. We'll break down as we get more and more into stocks and equities and bonds, stuff like that. Like once you have that, like you don't have to work anymore. You can live on a beach for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter if you have that income coming in, that passive income. Same thing with business assets, right? And we'll get deeper and deeper into that as we go through the program. I earn enough passive income to pay for my desired lifestyle. I have a millionaire mind. I am financially free. I work because, and this is a big one, I choose to, not because I have to. If you look at some of the most impactful, most successful people on this planet, they're working in areas where they're super passionate about what they do. Like Warren Buffett doesn't have to go to work ever, but he does. Why? Because he loves it, because he cares about it, because it's something he's passionate about. And that's where you want to be with your career. You want to say, I am financially free. I work because I choose to, not because I have to. I have a millionaire mind. And as soon as you make that shift, not only are you going to enjoy your work more, enjoy your career more, obviously, but you're also going to make a very important shift that allows you to actually create more abundance, more wealth, and more value in the marketplace, which translates into your income, because when you do what you're passionate about, it turns into a better result. It turns into more value, and it will come back to you tenfold, right? And the last one is my part-time business. This kind of loops around and it comes full circle, is managing and investing my money. And this is kind of the key here. And you can use active money management or passive money management. You can use whatever you want. You can use active business assets. You can use passive business assets. And you'll kind of learn how to leverage those tools. My money. And over time, creating passive income streams, right? So it's not just constant grind, hustle, work over and over and over again, but instead you have passive income. My part-time business is managing and investing my money and creating passive income streams. I have a millionaire mind. And that's sort of the key. That's the foundation. And that's sort of the core mindset to be following, are these attitudes of wealth when you win the money game. So go through those attitudes, make those declarations over and over and over again, and they will sort of establish your mindset in the right position. And that's sort of the key, right? And that kind of segues us into what is your money blueprint set for. And this kind of comes back to the concept we're talking about of set point, and how your set point will determine your wealth. Do you have a set, like the question is your set point, is your money blueprint, are you set for high income, are you set for moderate income, are you set for low income? Because at the end of the day, all it is a decision, all it is a choice, You have to just pick a number and stick with that number, right? Eckert gives an example of this guy who's earning $500,000 a year. And he says, congratulations, how long have you been doing that? He says, for 7 years he's been doing that over and over and over again. He says, well, what the heck, why are you earning $2 million a year? And that simple question, a simple mindset shift, a simple challenge of like, you can do more, you can be more, you can have more, made this guy go out, and he came back the next year, and now he came back and he was earning $2 million a year, just as I talked about. And he attended this new seminar. He's like, I want to earn $10 million a year. Because all it is a choice of where you want to set your set point, where you want to set your thermometer, and then correspondingly who you surround yourself with that's going to promote the numbers that you choose, right? So all you have to do, right, at the core here, is you have to pick. You have to pick a number, pick a point, pick wherever you want to be, and then, like, once you have your number, and this kind of comes back to like the best way to pick this number is to follow sort of the secret formula from Think and Grow Rich. But really the core here is you just want to have a number in your mind, a set number where it's like, this is the amount of money that I desire, and then just stick with it. And what's cool is like the actual amount doesn't matter. What matters is that you're reaching, and this is important, you're reaching your full financial potential. And that's all you really have to do is if you reach full potential, your goal. If you get to that next step, you're like right where you need to be. All you want to do is think about like where's your full potential, and then figure out the steps that you need to take to actually fulfill and achieve that full potential. And for him, it changed everything because he started making $10 million a year, and then he could give tons and tons and tons of money to AIDS victims in Africa. And it was really, really fulfilling for him. He wasn't greedy at all. He was actually sharing, creating a really huge impact on literally tens of thousands of people through the contributions that he made, which is really, really, really powerful. And so you might say, like, are you set for picking winning investments or picking losers? And hopefully you're set for picking winning investments, but if you're not, like, go through the exercises we've been going through so that you can abolish any negative mindsets that might, have you set to pick losing investments, because I can teach you anything I want or anything that, you want, but if you're not mentally set to succeed, like, it's not going to have an impact, right? So it's important that you go through kind of the exercises that we've been talking about. You should be solid because you've been doing that, which is awesome. If you want to program yourself to say, look, it's simple. You're going to make money in stocks, you're going to make money in investments, you're going to make money in assets. It all comes down to just having a higher income blueprint. It comes down to sort of constantly knowing that, like, you deserve, you can have it, and your comfort zone is a lot higher than what your current wealth is. And so to get to that, you want to program your mind that, like, you have to do more, you have to have more assets so you can actually get to that higher level. As soon as you do that, you're golden, right? So that's kind of the shift, because people think that success of their business or success in their investments is primarily dependent on their business goals, the knowledge of investing, or at least timing in the market. But in reality, how well your business does is simply a result of your money blueprint. You will always validate your money blueprint. And if you're set to earning $1 million a year, you're gonna earn $1 million a year. If you're a salesperson set for earning, $90K a year, you're gonna earn $90K a year. And it doesn't really shift if you make more, if you make less. If you have a sale for $500,000, the sale will either cancel, or if you do end up with it, you're gonna have a bad year following, because of your set point, right? And so you just want to make sure that instead of focusing on, like, a lot of people think, they have their set point at whatever, right? And they're like, look, I want to make, this is the amount of money that they think they're worth, the amount of money they think they make. And so if they get something that's more than that, if they get something that's higher, like, all of a sudden for them, they're like, oh crap, I gotta come back to my set point. So, like, what we've been talking about over and over and over and over again, take like an hour and sit down and just think about, like, how you can increase your set point so that it's more and you're pulled not towards less but pulled towards more. And just take an exercise. Something that really helped me was getting a piece of paper and just writing down very, very specifically and very, very vividly, like, everything that I could ever want. Like, it would be, like, make me so, I'm like, right now, like, I want helicopters, I want this, huge houses or whatever, or, cars. Like, write down exactly what it is you desire, like, figure out how much that would cost, like, how much would it cost for you to have an island, right? And figure out, like, exactly what you want, and use that as a tool to say, like, look, I gotta get my set point way up here so that I can get all these cool things, right? Instead of being here, because if I do that, like, I'm never gonna get all these giant list of things that I want. And by no means am I saying, like, you should be focusing on items or money and stuff like that, or just constantly thinking about material things, but it's a really great way to increase your set point. And then as soon as you do that, I mean, you're literally creating your own financial freedom by doing that, which is really powerful. Definitely a great exercise to kind of pause and apply, like, right now as you go through that process, writing down all the top things that you could ever desire, and then using that as a tool, using the total of that as a tool to increase your set point and say, look, I've got to have more. I've got to have more assets that are creating more wealth. My money's got to work harder for me so that I can get to that point in the future. And that's kind of a pedestal you can look up to. It's a great starting point. It works really, really well. And then, as soon as you do that, all of a sudden you can make this shift where you can say, look, money's going to come to you easily. Money's going to come to you, not a struggle, but instead as just the fact of life. And as soon as you have that shift, and as soon as you sort of move that financial thermostat, you shift your set point to become more, it might not take, if I change the temperature in this room, it's going to take maybe 15, 20 minutes for the temperature to actually adjust. But you're on the right track, you're going through the process, and you're making that shift over time. So obviously you're not going to get results in 25 minutes, but over time, the temperature will slowly shift. Your bank account will slowly grow higher and higher and higher and higher. And your investments, what do? They'll perform better and better and better and better. Because if you just, open up a window or let some hot air in or turn on a fireplace, in the short term, it can increase the amount of money you have, right? Increase the temperature. But the thermostat's going to kick back on and cool everything down and lower your money if you don't actually shift what your setting is, what that thing says on the wall, so that you can actually have it set to be more and to sort of have more money in your life. And so that's kind of the core and the foundation. The key here is that you want to consciously observe your thoughts and actions so that you can live from true choice in the present moment rather than being run by programs of the past, and choose exactly where you want to be, exactly sort of the tools you're going to use to get to that future point. It all comes down to a very, very simple choice of making a decision that you are going to be extraordinarily wealthy. And then it just comes down to following the actions and the steps needed to invest in assets to actually get to that point in the future. And that's kind of the core, that's the foundation. It's really, really, really powerful. And once you achieve this consciousness, you can live from who you are today rather than who you were yesterday, and focus on the power of now. Focus on the present and respond appropriately, knowing that you can tap into your full range of potential, your full range of skill, your full range of talents. You can finally realize that your programming, in all reality, all it is a simple recording of information you received and believed in the past when you were too young to know any better. And you can finally see this conditioning is not who you are, but who you learn to be. And you can see that you are not a recording, but you are the recorder. And you are not the content in the glass, but you are the glass itself. You're not the software, but you are the hardware. And while it's true, genetics might play a role, spiritual aspects might come into play, much of what shapes who you are comes from other people's beliefs and information. And as we talked about earlier, beliefs are not necessarily true or false or right or wrong. Regardless of their validity, beliefs are opinions that are passed down and around and then down from generation to generation to you. Once you know this, you can consciously choose to release any belief or way of being that is not supportive of your wealth. And you can deliberately replace it with one that is supportive of your wealth. And that's really the huge shift, and that's what you've been doing through the exercises you've been going through. That's super important. And he kind of finishes up this section here by talking about this idea that no thought lives in your mind rent free. You're always giving attention to any of the thoughts that you have. And so you want to sort of stop giving attention to bad thoughts and remove them from your mind by intention and by design, and instead replace them with quality thoughts that are going to get you closer and closer and closer and empower you to create more money and more wealth in your life. And all you have to do is choose your thoughts and beliefs wisely and realize that negative thoughts, negative beliefs are not who you are, and they're not attached to you, and you can cut them off and kill them. And instead replace them with importance and meaning, and give that importance and meaning to wealth building thoughts and asset building thoughts and sort of the information, like 9 to noon, that's gold. You put your attention on that, and you will phenomenally outperform 99% of investors. It all comes down to having your attention on the right thing instead of thinking about the wrong thing. And I'm not going to talk about them because you know what the wrong things are, but I cut those out of my mind so many years ago, because if I gave them any attention or any acknowledgement whatsoever, even give them the privilege of being spoken, it turns them into a reality, and I don't want those negative ideas to be a reality. And so the biggest thing you can do is just stop talking entirely, completely, or surround yourself with people that talk completely about negativity. And as soon as you cut that out, the growth is going to be so much more, and you'll be able to kind of focus on the 4 main key foundational elements of wealth, right? And so that's kind of the basis here, is that you're going to believe something you might as well adopt the beliefs that support you. You might as well adopt rich beliefs, because thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, and actions lead to results. And you can choose to think and act like rich people, and therefore create the results that rich people create. And so that's sort of the concept behind figuring out how rich people think and act, and modeling what rich people do with their assets and their investments, and just copying them to make a bunch of money, right? And then there's a really great declaration that says, I observe my thoughts and entertain only those that empower me. I have a millionaire mind. And the last thing here, we kind of talked about the 4 kind of key measurements of wealth. And I want to go through these here, and then we'll kind of go on to the second part here, which is super, super exciting. So the first sort of key foundational net worth factor is really important. This is income, right? And this is probably the first thing most people think of when they think of, like, you know, how much you're worth or whatever. And what's critical is rich people understand that building a high net worth is an equation that contains all 4 of these elements. And income, it kind of comes in 2 forms, okay? So there's active working income and there's passive income. Now, working income is money that you earn from, like, active work. This is a paycheck from a day-to-day job, where, you know, for an entrepreneur, it's the profits taken from a business. And when working income requires that you're investing your own time and labor to earn money. Working income is important because without it, it's almost impossible to address sort of the other 3 forms and the other 3 net worth factors. And so, like, me doing exactly what I'm doing right now, like, this is like working income. Like, I'm putting time, energy, effort. There's going to be a lot more time, energy, effort after this is recorded. It's going to go into turning this into a reality. Like, this is working income. And it's sort of critical, and it's where most people start out, and it's how you kind of fill up your financial funnel. All things else being equal, the more working income you earn, the more you can save, the more you can invest, and it's really critical, but it's also only just this little valuable part of the entire equation. Now, what kind of sucks is most poor people, most middle class people, they focus exclusively on working income out of the 4 factors, and consequently they end up with a low or no net worth whatsoever. And because why? Because they don't have assets, right? If you don't have assets, like, you're not gonna get the result. Now, passive income is a little more powerful. Passive income is money earned without you actively working, and, like, this is sort of the key when you're investing in assets and you're creating streams of income through the investments that you make. Like, these passive income, these recurring, any kind of income you get from your investments, that's really good. That's phenomenal. That's leverage. That's that's dividends, or any kind of investment can pay you over and over and over and over again. Where you put in maybe a set amount of work at the beginning, and then you put in no work ever again, but you keep getting paid, and you keep getting paid, and you keep getting paid, and you keep getting paid. That's what you do, and that's what you achieve when you have assets. And so it's really important that you kind of split your income into active and passive, and then you do everything you can to invest in assets that lead to passive income, or whatever thing you can to invest in assets that lead to the greatest returns, right? This is sort of a trade-off sometimes between passive income and just really phenomenal capital gains, and usually those really, really phenomenal capital gains can kind of outweigh it. We'll get more into that as we get into, investing, right? Now, saving is the second net worth factor. I'll put this in Greek. So, 2 is savings, right? And this is sort of the big way for a lot of people. This is, you can earn wads and wads and wads of money, but if you don't keep any of it, right, you're not gonna have a chance of creating wealth. So this is why we've kind of gone through the Jim Rohn content and the budgeting earlier on, so that you can actually have those savings. Because many people, they have their financial blueprint. It's wired for spending. Whatever money they have, they spend. They choose immediate gratification over long-term balance. And what happens is spenders, they kind of have like 3 core mottos. The first motto is it's only money, and therefore, money is something that they don't have to really, have much of, because they don't value it, because they don't see it as a tool to actually create financial freedom, because they don't see it as a resource to get sort of an end result of real savings and retirements that they desire, right? And sort of the second core motto is what goes around comes around. And at least they hope so, but in reality, like, if they're not investing in anything, like, they're not gonna get, you're not gonna get results if you don't have assets, right? And it kind of comes down to their third motto, which is, sorry, I can't right now, I'm broke. And it sucks because like, if I'm like, dude, Microsoft stock is gonna triple, the options are gonna sextuple in the next 4 months, like it's gonna be amazing, you gotta invest in this, it's gonna be so good, it's gonna literally be the best thing ever, and you have like $8 in your bank account, like what are you gonna turn that into, $24, maybe $40? Like that's nothing, right? But if you have savings, and then I'm like, dude, check out this investment. I have a lot of my clients, I'm like, dude, check out this investment. And within like a week, they make 6 figures. And I'm like, yeah, dude, power assets, right? Because you have sort of the cash flow and the savings you invest, like money turns into more money. It's not a difficult concept. You just have to have somewhere to start with. We don't have to have a whole lot to start with, and you can continue, start off with a little bit, but constantly be focusing on saving, and multiplying that through assets, right? That's kind of that's the key, that's the foundation. And that's exactly what you're hoping for. Because without creating income to sort of fill the funnel and savings to keep it there, it's impossible to invest. You have to make sure you have that savings plan in place, which is why we set out the budget. Now the third key net worth factor is investments. Now this is really where you get to the fun part, right? Investments is what? It's multiplying your money. It's investing in assets. It's growing your money, turning it into more money, building real savings and retirements. And what he says here is generally, the better you are at investing, the faster your money will grow and generate a greater net worth. And rich people, they take time and they take their energy to learn about investing and learn about investments. And the fourth net worth factor is probably one of the sort of most hidden ones, that is simplification. This idea that if you can get by on less and simplify your life, like, it's gonna be a lot easier to live on passive income. And the way Ecker kind of shares this is he talks about few people have recognized how important this factor is in actually creating wealth. And the thing is, it goes hand in hand with saving money, whereby you consciously create a lifestyle in which you need less money to live on. And by decreasing your cost of living, you kind of increase your savings and the amount of funds available for investing, which is like the best, right? And to kind of talk about this, talks about one of his students, Sue, who when she was 23, she purchased this home and she paid about $300,000 for it. She was so kind of more into like the real estate investing space. And 7 years later, she sold it for $600,000, which basically doubled their money in 6 years. Which I don't know, it's pretty good. Like you can probably do it a little bit faster, and by a little bit faster, I mean like a bajillion times faster with 9 to noon investing. But it's pretty impressive, right? It's nice. You double your money. It's $300,000 in the bank. Very cool. Very cool. And she considered sort of buying a new home, but then she sort of understood the concepts in, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and she realized that if she invested her money in a secure second mortgage at 10% interest rates and kind of simplified her lifestyle, she could actually be quite comfortable living on the earnings from her investments, earnings from the loans that she was giving out, earnings from her assets that she was using her money to earn money with. And as soon as she did that, she would never have to work again. And so instead of purchasing a new home, she moved in with her sister, and she's completely financially free because she just invests her money in assets to pay her interest over and over again. Like you guys are going to learn how to do absolutely phenomenally. And just constantly scaling back her personal overhead. And it works phenomenally for her because she enjoys it. And she doesn't have to really do anything if she doesn't want to. She does, she can. Like, she wants to work, she can, but it's up to her, right? It's her choice. And she can spend she spends a lot of her time in Fiji, she says, because she loves it. And, her money goes further, especially if you start living abroad. The cost of living internationally is much lower than in the States. Like, you can get lobster steak dinners for like $1 or $3 in some of these third world countries, and still have really great quality of living. Places like Spain, places like Ecuador. But this is a concept that Tim Ferriss really talks about a lot more in the 4-Hour Workweek. This idea of vagabonding, this idea of living internationally long term, and using that as a tool to basically decrease the amount of money that you need to have, the amount of recurring income you need to have, because you can live in places like abroad where you might be able to get by on 1/10 of the income you would need in San Diego, California, but still have the exact same quality of living, if not better. Because in reality, you can literally get flights for just a couple dozen bucks, and it's just the cost of living is so much cheaper in so many international places. This is not something I focus too much on, but it's a really powerful concept, and a lot of I mean, everything in the far about work week is just phenomenal. It's definitely a lot more geared towards like building business assets. But with that said, for work week is like that concept of vagabonding, and he talks about it more in Tools with Titans, which you guys get as a book review as a 9-to-noon client. But definitely check out those book reviews because they kind of touch on this a little bit more than I'm going to go into it right now. But those books are really phenomenal. They talk more about this concept of living abroad and decreasing your living expenses while increasing the quality of your living on the same income, which is super cool. And so for her, she lives with the locals, she doesn't spend a lot, and I mean, she doesn't have to really like work ever because she has this fortune that's paying her out over and over and over again. And so, you know, a lot of people really overestimate the amount of money that it would take to be completely financially free, when in reality, if you look at living abroad, it's very inexpensive. And if you just have assets that pay a little bit of like interest, like you don't have to work ever again. And again, that concept and that foundation is really laid out in the 4-Hour Workweek, and a little bit more in Tools with Titans, but mostly in the 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. So definitely, but check out those book reviews that you have access to as a client, because those books they changed my life. They're amazing, and it's just really good. So with that said, that was sort of her idea. This idea of simplification is basically following that concept of, you know, lowering your expenses while increasing your quality of living. And at the same time, she didn't need all the toys that she used to need to be happy, and instead she could reach her financial goals a lot sooner by, you know, not having to focus as much on, you know, spending money on stuff that she didn't really actually need. It didn't actually matter. And as you make that simple shift, it's just phenomenally easier to actually get sort of closer and closer to those end results, where you're able to focus on just enjoying life instead of focusing on money all the time over and over again, by simplifying your lifestyle, right? And it's pretty important. It's cool. And then when he kind of wraps it up here, he says, imagine kind of driving a bus with 4 wheels. And he says that each of these 4 key net worth factors are all equally important, and they are all like part of the equation. They're all part of life, and you have to focus on all of them and master all of them. And as soon as you can do that, like, you get to this leads to financial freedom, right? And so, you know, my objective and my goal is to make you an insanely profitable and ludicrously well outperforming investor, so that you can turn your savings into tons of cash, and hopefully some of what I teach you with investing will turn into a lot more passive income. And especially if you take on 9-to-noon trading, you can actually up that active income as well, through financial markets, through assets, and mostly it's just through creating quality assets. So that's kind of the core, and that's what I'm super passionate about. I can't wait to share with you throughout this coaching program, which is super exciting. And so, yeah, rich people play the game on all 4 wheels, and that's why the ride is fast, smooth, direct, and relatively easy. And so that's the core, right? If you lose one wheel, or if you're driving on one wheel, if you're only driving your car, if you're only driving your bus on income, and all you have is income, you don't have savings, you don't have investment, you don't have simplifications, like, how do you think your bus is gonna, like, how do you think you can't drive a car with one wheel. It just won't happen. So you have to have all 4. It's critical that you have all 4, and that's why we set out this budget early on. Most people, especially like poor people, they play the game with one wheel only, and because of that, like, you can't take your friends on your bus, you can't take your family on your bus if your bus has one wheel. Like, it just won't move. But if your bus has 4 wheels, you can take as many people as you want to anywhere that you want to go to, right? It all comes down to what? It comes down to having the right net worth factors. And he kind of touches here on concepts that are developed more in the Millionaire Next Door. This idea of like keeping up with the Joneses, and how people are always spending on crap that they don't really need. And when he talks about, Ecker says that in society, it's normal is you have a car, you make more money, you get a better car, you have a house, you make more money, you get a better house, you have clothes, you make more money, you get better clothes, you have holidays, you make more money, spend more on the holidays. And of course, you know, there are a few exceptions to this rule, but there are very few. And in general, as income goes up, expenses almost always invariably go up as well. And if you look at surveys of, you know, how much people think it costs to live in a city, there's this huge study they did in New York, and they surveyed like everyone on this huge wide range of income spectrums. And I think this actually comes from the Millionaire Next Door, which is like literally insane. You guys, the book's crazy. Basically what they found is people that had less money said that it cost less money to live. And people that had maybe 10-30% more money than them said it cost more money to live by a factor of about 10 to 30%. People that had twice as much money said that it cost about twice as much to live. And what happens is the amount of money people think it costs to live actually goes up as their income goes up, because to them, for a lot of people, they're programmed to basically spend everything that they make, and they're not programmed to save. They're programmed to invest. They're not programmed to have like a disciplined budget, and so they don't. Which is why you're a light year ahead of them through this content, through this course, and through this program. And I want you to kind of take that concept and understand that the millionaire mind, it refers to net worth, not income. It refers to net worth. And your intention, if you want to be a millionaire or more, billionaire, whatever, you have to focus on building a net worth, which is based on way, way, way more than just your income. And so really the key and the foundation here is to focus on actually following the budget that we set out in week 2. And as long as you follow that, like, you should be solid. You should be really crushing it. And as soon as you do that, all you have to do then is just track your results, figure out, what's my net worth and where does it want to go and where do I want it to be. And as soon as you can do that, you can get some really, really, really phenomenal results just by focusing on these core foundational mental concepts of like, where's my money going, right? And so how much of my money is going from income over to savings, and how much of my savings are going to investments, and how much of those investments are actually, like, what's my percent return, right? What's my gain? And that's what you'll kind of learn, how to get really phenomenal investments through this program. And then, all of that just at the end of the day comes down to like simplifying your lifestyle. Like, if you don't have to live in New York and pay ridiculous taxes and live in extraordinarily expensive real estate because you run, or you have your investments online or something, like, you could like live somewhere where it's a lot cheaper. Maybe follow some of the stuff for a work week and go vagabonding and live abroad where it costs literally like fractions of what it costs to live here, and have like a 10 times better quality of life because the extraordinarily and stunningly low cost of like actually living, which is pretty interesting. And the 4 Work Week is a phenomenal book. A lot of the resources we've kind of talked about today are total game changers. And so hopefully you got a ton of value out of this module. I want you to go out there, I want you to apply it, and I want you to absolutely crush it. And I'm excited because now you kind of understand like what mentally is the process to go through to actually sort of get to the results that you want to take. Grow that wealth extraordinarily and exponentially quickly, which is really, really powerful. Now the next module is going to be the last module, and it's one I'm really, really excited about because it's going to actually show you the steps and the actions and the thoughts that you should kind of implant in your mind. And as soon as you implant those into your mind, like, they're going to generate money. They're going to turn into wealth over time, which is super, super exciting. So I hope you're as excited as I am for that, because I think it's going to be awesome. And with that said, I really, really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next module. Bye.